Hi there, I'm Ariel. I'm an English literature student, and I wish to share my story with you about my time spent in London. I also want to tell you how I met my amazing teacher. While you read my story, I can also help you learn English. A lovely summer day. It was a lovely summer day. I was traveling on a train, sitting across from two women. Even though they were speaking English, I couldn't really understand them. I'm a beginner and don't know many words, but I'm studying English. I started talking to the ladies. I spoke a few simple English words and was pleased that they could understand what I was trying to say. I expressed my desire to learn English. The women said they were from England and were returning home after attending a seminar. We spoke for approximately 10 minutes. When the next station, my stop, arrived, I said goodbye. The women told me I could visit them in England and gave me their address and phone number. After this encounter, I began practicing my English daily. I watched English language movies and translated documents. Within 6 months, I improved significantly, but I knew I still had more to learn. Studying in London. To study English more seriously, I traveled to London. After arriving, I enrolled in a school. My first lesson was on a Monday. I met the other students and my teacher, a sweet, young woman who was modest and kind. After we introduced ourselves, the lesson began. To assess our general English proficiency, our teacher asked us a few questions. She assured us that she would teach us how to study English in a very effective way. Her method was simple: we wouldn't need to memorize rules or read heavy textbooks. Instead, we would speak English regularly in our daily conversations. This approach worked well for me. I never liked learning from textbooks, they were confusing. We discussed the fundamentals of learning a new language. Our teacher explained that language is a means of communication. To express our thoughts and ideas, we need language. So, the best way to learn a new language is to speak and interact with real people. In our class, we were encouraged to speak English as much as possible. How I acquired vocabulary. On Tuesday, I returned to class. One of the students asked an interesting question. What is the best way to learn new words? Our teacher replied that reading is the most effective method. She mentioned that, according to statistics, people who read regularly acquire vocabulary twice as fast as those who don't. She recommended spending at least half an hour a day reading. She also shared some helpful tips. Choose a book or article that interests you. Enjoy reading fiction or non-fiction. Avoid texts that are too dull or too difficult. Use a dictionary when you encounter a new word. Just understanding the word in context helps you remember it, even if you don't write it down. Reading teaches not only new words but also how words are used in sentences. It improves fluency, usage, and sentence structure. Getting a job in London. Later, we discussed the best part-time jobs for students and the current job situation in England. I wanted to do something productive in my free time, so I asked my classmates for job advice. They suggested visiting a job center. After school, I went to the job center and asked the woman there, "What is the best job for a student?" Since I had no experience, I didn't know what kind of work I could do. She said there were some good options, like working as a cafe waiter or a cleaner. I told her I didn't have experience. She replied that working at a cafe would help me improve my English more than working as a cleaner since my English was already good enough for that job. She told me I could start on Thursday. I was happy because this job allowed me to practice English every day, enhancing my vocabulary. I returned to school on Wednesday. There was a South Korean student in our class who was quieter than the others. When the teacher asked if we had any questions, he raised his hand and said he had serious pronunciation problems. He explained that he avoided speaking because he was afraid others would hear his poor pronunciation. He could understand English well from reading and watching movies but wanted to improve his speaking skills. Our teacher said, "I will teach you how to improve your pronunciation and give you techniques that can help everyone." She explained that the main problem lies in how our mouth muscles work. Often, we use the same muscles we use in our native language when speaking English. This makes our pronunciation different from native speakers. Almost everyone learning a new language experiences this. It's not a big problem because most people still understand you. However, if you want to improve, you must train your mouth muscles and speak out loud regularly. In summary, this method of learning proved very effective for me. By speaking, reading, listening, and practicing every day, I was able to improve my English without feeling pressure. I'm glad I discovered a technique that suits me, and I continue learning new things every day. One method that helped me is called shadowing. It's a very simple technique, just mimic the sounds you hear. Children learn their first language through imitation by copying their parents over and over again. Eventually, their pronunciation becomes perfect. The same technique works for learning how to pronounce English words correctly. Shadowing practice. Here's what you can do: record some audio or video that's easy to understand and not too fast. While you listen, simultaneously repeat what you hear. That's all. After that, our teacher looked up the shadowing technique on YouTube. She found several excellent videos that clearly demonstrated it. After watching one of them, we spent around 3 minutes trying to shadow ourselves. According to our teacher, shadowing is also very helpful if you want to improve your pronunciation or are preparing for an English presentation. Practicing shadowing for just 10 minutes in a quiet space before your presentation can significantly improve how you speak. I found this technique really fascinating. I had never heard of it before. Joining sports at school. After the lecture ended, I asked the receptionist if the school offered any sports programs. While I was in England, I wanted to participate in some physical activities. "Yes, we have a football team and a table tennis team," the receptionist replied. "The football team begins training at 5 o'clock today." Sports play a big role in my life, so I was excited. When I joined the football practice, I met players from various countries: Argentina, Spain, Italy, Brazil, Japan, and Russia. The training was fun, and I felt really happy with how well my time in England was starting. I had a great teacher, made new friends on the football team, and was about to start my new job the next day. A new classmate. The following day, I returned to school on Thursday. Our class had a new student named Elizabeth, who was from Italy. At the beginning of the class, our teacher spoke to her. She already knew Elizabeth because she had attended a 2-week beginner course during her summer vacation the previous year. When Elizabeth spoke, she had a wonderful voice. She was fluent and pronounced every word perfectly. "Your school in Italy must be very good," said our teacher with a smile. "I don't attend any school," Elizabeth replied. "I study English at home. I apply the techniques I learned from you. I read a lot, think aloud, and practice shadowing. I try to think in English more than in Italian. That's how I practice every day. I learned so much from the 2-week class I took with you last summer. You guided me, and now I know how to keep improving. That's why I wanted to join your class again. A year ago, I was a beginner. Now, I can speak English and I want to learn even more from you." Our teacher was very pleased and appreciated Elizabeth's dedication. Thinking aloud. Although I was already familiar with reading and shadowing, I wasn't sure what thinking aloud meant. What is thinking aloud? I asked. Our teacher replied. It's a very effective technique. To get the most out of learning English, you need strong motivation. Although it might seem odd at first, it works extremely well. I'm highly motivated, I responded. Even if the method feels strange, I don't mind. I want to learn. Can you teach us? Of course, she said. Actually, it's quite simple. Usually, you think in your native language. But now, you can start thinking in English. Just say out loud whatever comes to your mind in English. That's it. That sounds easy, I said. But why does it work so well? Perhaps you can ask Elizabeth, our teacher suggested. She can explain how it helped her. Elizabeth's experience. Our teacher asked Elizabeth if she was comfortable sharing her experience, and she agreed. When I first started using this method, it wasn't easy, she said. I began by saying simple things like, I can speak English, or I want to improve. I'd tell myself, I need to practice every day. Even though I didn't know many words, I used the ones I did know to express my thoughts. I kept saying, I can do this. This is great. The sentences were very basic. But I faced a challenge. In Italian, my thoughts were more complex and longer. I couldn't say exactly the same things in English, so I had to simplify my thinking. That was the hardest part, learning to think in clear, simple English. But eventually, it became second nature. Then something interesting happened. While on vacation in Italy, I met a man from Australia. We started talking, and even though I was still learning, I could speak with him easily. My sentences were short and simple, but they worked. I didn't need to mentally translate from Italian to English. After that, I practiced thinking aloud even more. It made a huge difference in my speaking. I still use it every day. It really works. Inspired to learn. Our teacher thanked Elizabeth for sharing her story. I felt motivated to try this method too, because I genuinely wanted to improve my speaking skills. A concluding remark. Tip: think aloud to improve your fluency in English. Advice: read, listen, think, and speak if you want to become proficient in English. Dedicate at least 30 minutes each day to each of these activities. Grammar and work experience. She corrects me when I make mistakes, but after that, she lets me do the work on my own. She's very friendly, and I learn quickly. I'm exhausted after my first day of work, but I'm happy to have a job. Grammar questions in class. The next day, Friday, I returned to school. One student asked an interesting question. Sometimes, when I speak, I'm not sure if I speak correctly. I'm not sure if I use correct grammar. Can you help me? What should I do if I want to learn grammar? Our teacher replies. Thank you for your question. There are two types of students. Some study English to improve their speaking skills, while others do it to pass an exam. The situations are different for each group. Let's start with students who need English for communication. If that's you, you don't need to spend too much time studying grammar. You didn't study grammar when learning your native language, it came naturally. You can learn English grammar the same way, through usage. The best way to learn grammar naturally is to read a lot. Books are written with correct grammar, and when you read, you see grammar in full sentences. I also recommend shadowing. It helps you practice good grammar without needing to memorize rules, just repeat correctly structured sentences. If you want to speak English but still learn grammar, go to grammarinlevels.com. It shows which grammar rules match different English levels. The most important grammar for speaking is all there. She continues. The second group of students are those learning English to pass an exam. If that's you, I suggest studying specifically for your test. Use previous test papers. Exam formats stay mostly the same, even if the actual questions vary. These materials are excellent tools for learning. I recommend taking the real exam only when your results on practice tests show that you're ready to pass. The student responds. Yes, thank you. That's great news. I don't like studying grammar. I'm learning English to speak, not to pass an exam. I'm happy I don't need to study grammar much. I enjoy reading, and I'm glad I can improve my grammar by reading books. Exploring grammar resources. After class, I visit grammarinlevels.com. It's an excellent website. It includes grammar rules and examples for every level. The levels are based on word counts, 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 words. That afternoon, I go to work. I've only been here 2 days, but I can already do a lot on my own. When I need help, my supervisor is there to assist me. The work doesn't seem very difficult. Speaking with customers also gives me a chance to practice my English. Moral: read a lot if you want to develop good grammar. Chapter 2: Assessing my English. On Monday, I return to school. Our teacher asks about our weekend. I say that I worked on Saturday and that I already feel confident doing my job. I also mention how happy I am when I can talk to customers. As I speak, one of the girls in class asks, "What happened to your voice? You sound so different from last week. Your pronunciation is much better." I smile and reply, "Thank you." I practice shadowing on Saturday evening after work and again on Sunday. I tried to imitate native speakers. It's not perfect, but I've noticed a big improvement. Our teacher asked if anyone else tried shadowing. 3 students raised their hands. One of them, a student from South Korea, also enjoys this method. Another student says she tried shadowing but gave up after 5 minutes because her mouth started to hurt. She also said the recording was too fast, so she couldn't repeat everything. Our teacher says, "Thank you for trying. You need to train your mouth muscles. It's like going to the gym for the first time. If your muscles aren't used to it, they'll hurt. But that's a good sign. If your mouth hurts after 5 minutes, take a break and try again later. With each practice session, your pronunciation improves." Shadowing also helps with rhythm, intonation, and linking words in complete sentences. At first, the recordings might seem too fast. If that happens, just repeat the first or last word of each sentence. With time, you'll be able to repeat more and more. I say, "That's true." On Saturday, shadowing was tough. But by Sunday evening, it was much easier to repeat what I heard. How many words do I know? I then asked the teacher. I visited grammarinlevels.com. It's a great site, but I don't know my English level. I'm not sure how many words I know. The teacher smiles and turns to the class. Does anyone here know how many English words they know? Nobody does. We all know we're intermediate learners, but we have no idea about our vocabulary size. Our teacher explains. There's a website called testlanguages.com where you can find out how many English words you know. It's very simple, just 2 steps. You can take the test once a month and track your progress. If you want, take out your phones now and try it. I'm curious, so I take the test right away. Vocabulary test results. I discover that most students in class know between 2,000 and 2,200 words. Only Monica and the South Korean student know 2,511 words. Our teacher explains. Now you can see, if you know 2,000 or more words, you should be learning grammar from level 2 or level 3 at grammarinlevels.com. Level 3 is for students who know between 2,000 and 3,000 words. Moral: measure your progress monthly. Chapter 3: How I respond to errors. When I returned to school on Tuesday, a student asked our teacher an interesting question. Can you help me practice speaking with people around me? I don't want to make a fool of myself or make mistakes. Our teacher replies. Making mistakes is a very interesting issue. There are many viewpoints on it, but I want to share what I believe works best. I have a lot of experience with this because I also study new languages. Right now, I'm learning Spanish. I don't care if I make mistakes when I speak Spanish. That's because I didn't care about making mistakes when I learned my native language either. I just wanted to express myself, that's all. This may sound simple, but it's my personal view, one I've discovered after many years of teaching and learning languages. I know that the more I read, speak, and practice shadowing, the better my Spanish gets. This method works really well for me, and for many of my students. When I speak, I focus only on communicating in the moment. I currently know around 1,500 Spanish words, which is about the vocabulary of a 2-year-old. Children at their age make a lot of mistakes when they speak, but they don't care. They keep using the language. By age 3, they make fewer mistakes, and by age 4, they speak very well. You can do the same. Most of you know around 2,000 English words. So it's completely normal to make occasional mistakes. The more you use English, the fewer mistakes you'll make over time. If you don't make mistakes, you can't move to the next level. It's okay to be imperfect when you're learning English. Practice makes perfect. Everyone starts at level 0. Learning a language is like learning a musical instrument. You need practice. At first, it's not perfect, and you make errors. That's completely normal. Understand that mistakes are an important part of the learning process. You can't reach higher levels if you avoid a stage where you make mistakes. But if you keep using English, those mistakes will gradually go away. If you want to reduce your mistakes, read a lot and practice shadowing. Read aloud whenever possible. This will help you speak more fluently and make fewer mistakes in real conversations. Just focus on sharing your ideas. Don't worry about getting everything right. Speaking gives you practice in expressing thoughts. Grammar and vocabulary can be learned through other activities. Remember, everyone learning a foreign language makes mistakes, even politicians, CEOs, and celebrities. When you see them on TV, they still make errors, but they focus on delivering their message, not perfection. You can do the same. The girl nods and replies, "Yes, thank you." Moral: read regularly and shadow native speakers if you want to reduce your mistakes. Tips for improving your English language proficiency. Dedicate at least 39 minutes each day to speaking, listening, and reading. To improve fluency and comprehension, immerse yourself in diverse sources, books, videos, podcasts, and conversations. Learn grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation naturally by following real-life stories. Perfect for beginners and intermediate learners. Improve through reading, shadowing, and listening. Build your English skills by telling short, emotional stories. Boost your self-confidence a little more every day. Subscribe to our channel and begin your English journey, one story at a time. Don't just study English, live it with us. Click the bell icon so you never miss a story that could transform your speaking skills.